And that's because the energy is not high enough to sustain unions at a really high level, because it'll just blast you apart from each other. So you get separated from that person, and it's very extremely painful because it's like you've been separated from God. And that's like the feeling, because your twin flame is basically God in another vessel mirroring that back to you. And when you get separated from them, I mean, there's no amount of money you could pay me to go back to the beginning days of my twin flame separation. It was the most painful thing I've ever felt in my life. And for a year, I felt that pain. And literally, there's no number. There's no number you could pay me to go back to that feeling. So as much as people think they want to meet their twin flame, I feel like what they're saying is you want to meet a soulmate, because the twin flame experience is a healing journey. And you're not only healing for yourself and your entire family, you're healing and transmuting for your counterpart and their entire karmic situation and generational trauma, and also collective trauma of humanity. And so you're going to feel a lot of trauma that you normally wouldn't feel. And I feel like only really old souls sign up to be a twin flame, could even handle the amount of pain and trauma that we feel on this journey. So glamorizing it and making it seem like something that you want is a false program.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Regarding what you said earlier about twin flames always kind of breaking up, also makes a lot of sense to me, because I would say, like, right now in this world, there's a much more materialistic vibration going on. I guess you could say it's a lower vibration. And when people are materialistically orientated, they're kind of like looking at the wrong things in a partner, or they might be judging their partner in like a statusy sort of way, or maybe even their partner isn't spiritual enough for them, or they're doing things that they don't approve of. You know, the list goes on and on. But basically what I'm saying is I agree that because there's so much darker energy going on, just like you said, the world just cannot sustain that type of spiritual relationship. It's the world is always going to interject and kind of overcome that, at least now, I guess.
Well, for now, I mean, eventually I've always seen that there will be unions. They will come up probably in the age of Aquarius over the next 20 years. You will find more divine unions in certain places on the earth. They can't be everywhere, because you have to basically be in a higher vibrational frequency of the physical earth to withstand the connection. So yeah, it's interesting, but also it feels like the counterparts need to believe that it's real. And usually there's one that's going to be under some type of very hostile overt attack to keep them in this more material frequency. So they can feel the love, they can feel the pull to their counterpart, and know that that's ultimately this heaven on earth feeling that it is. But there will be a massive amount of souls that are also, or beings or entities, more like entities, that are going to be pulling at all of the parts of their ego to keep them in jobs that feed their status, in like comfortable, ego-driven, whatever. I mean, it's like they're just going to try to keep them comfortable in the matrix as much as possible to keep them from their counterpart. And the counterpart is typically going to feel this and not really understand why their twin flame doesn't want to come towards them. And this is just a typical thing I experienced doing this work for twin flames for the last 4 years, is this is how it is. And so it's like one is under a spell asleep and the other one is awakened fully and they can't be together. It's kind of like Romeo and Juliet, where the families are battling each other and so they couldn't be together. And that's kind of the feeling. It's like the earth itself is battling itself in duality consciousness. And these two pure-hearted souls can't be together. And one's listening to the family in this metaphor, and the other one doesn't care and wants to be with them anyway. And so that's the feeling, at least that's where we are in this collective right now.
Love that. I love the Romeo and Juliet reference. That's it. That's perfect. Maybe that has something to do with why that story has been so popular and transcended time. There's just something about it that touches us innately. I also wanted to ask, now with our twin flames, is this a person that we have met during a past life?
Yeah, you typically have had a lot of past lives with your twin. So you'll remember the wounding especially because it's mostly lifetimes where you couldn't be together because the earth has not been vibrating high enough to sustain these unions at all in the last 26,000 years. So if you incarnated on earth with your twin flame in Lemuria originally, which is where a lot of us were together and were in union and were building these amazing